From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. Cherry blossoms around Washington, D.C. are starting to show. The world-famous blossoms are now in their puffy white phase, according to the National Park Service, and that means that peak bloom is next. The cherry trees reached stage 5 out of 6 on Saturday. Sporadic warmer weather is slowly beginning to thaw out parts of the mid-Atlantic, including in D.C., where the famous cherry blossoms associated with the arrival of spring are beginning to bud. Earlier this month, the National Park Service announced it expected the peak of the blossoms to begin between March 28th and 31st this year, so the buds are right on schedule. Peak bloom, when 70% of the blossoms have opened, typically occurs between the last week of March and the first week of April and can last up to 10 days. Last year, the blossoms peaked on March 17th. It was so early, the famous festival had not even started yet. The timing of the blossoms and wintry conditions is key to the survival of the early bloomers, as the flowers are particularly susceptible to wintry weather during their later phases. Winter has decimated the bloom before, the most recent case occurring back in 2017, when a late frost in the middle of March wiped out at least half of the Yoshino blossoms. Of course, every spring, people from all over the world travel to Washington, D.C. to witness the breathtaking spectacle of the cherry blossoms in full bloom. The annual event transforms the nation's capital into a vibrant canvas of delicate pink and white petals, attracting tourists, nature enthusiasts, and photographers alike. The National Cherry Blossom Festival runs from March 20th to April 14th. Japan's Mount Fuji is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's a world-famous landmark and an icon in Japan. But it has also become a trash mountain overcrowded by millions of tourists. So to try to bring more balance to this popular tourist attraction, the prefectures who share Mount Fuji have instituted new rules ahead of this year's climbing season, which lasts from July to September. First, anyone climbing Mount Fuji must pay $27 for a permit. They will also have to book slots online, as the mountain is restricted to 4,000 visitors per day. Now, that's double the price from last year, the first year that the mandatory tourist tax was implemented on the mountain. Before that, there was a suggested optional donation of about $6 per person. The increasing number of people on the mountain is not the only problem. Some climbers needed medical attention due to wearing inappropriate gear like sandals and flip-flops, and by not bringing proper equipment or enough water. In response, the starting point for 3 of the 4 Mount Fuji trails has added an additional measure. Prospective hikers will have to take a brief class about hiking safety and local rules, then pass a short test to confirm they understood the information. And another restriction will be enacted for timing on the mountain. The mountain will be closed between 2 p.m. to 3 a.m. every day to anyone who is not staying overnight in a hut. Those hiking huts are located along the Fuji trails and are available to rent for people who opt to stay overnight rather than try to complete the entire hike in a single day. And Mount Fuji is not the only attraction around Japan, trying to find ways to balance the revenue brought in by foreign travelers with the challenges of over-tourism. That's all for now. You can find more stories and regional forecasts at AccuWeather.com, and for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more from AccuWeather.